Guys, that was me using my super 6 times in this 10-minute master nightfall. And this is a terrible nightfall because half of the time you're traveling with your sparrow collecting pulses. I don't know about you guys, but I'm so bored of using Heart of Immortal Light every season, so I came up with this middle ground build where you still get lots of powerful stun grenades while empowering your weapons and getting your super as fast as 60 freaking seconds. Which is absolutely mind-blowing because Thunder Crush is such an amazing super, especially when paired up with Curse of the Falling Star and the seasonal mod Thunderous Retort, allowing for some serious damage. The way we are going to be getting our super this fast is thanks to the new arc fragment Spark of Amplitude, which drops an orb of power every time you get a double kill while being amplified. Now this seems like a normal fragment until you pair it up with Harmonic Siphon, and it turns out that they stack together, giving you 1 orb of power per enemy, and sometimes you'll even see a single enemy drop 2 orbs of power. However, keep in mind that they do have a cooldown between how often it can spawn an orb. That's why when you kill multiple enemies in quick succession, they won't drop you 10 orbs of power. Also, what a lot of people don't realize is that we are going to be creating all these orbs of power not just for ourselves, but also for every single fireteam member, meaning that in a 6-man activity, you'll be charging up 6 supers at the same time. Your team will love you for this. However, orbs are not the only way that we are going to be getting that super, because we are also going to take advantage of Ashes to Assets, making our Storm Grenade actually give us a very nice chunk of super energy when we get kills with it. Later in the video, I'll explain when you want to use your grenade and when to save it in order to maximize super gains. In order to empower this super and take it to the next level, we are going to be using the exotic Curse of the Falling Star, which most of you already know. It drastically increases the damage we deal with Thunder Crush, while also granting us an overshield, which by the way has saved me in multiple occasions. Once you combine this exotic with the seasonal mod Thunderous Retort, you'll start doing some very serious damage with your super. But before we get to the rest of the build, I would like to invite you to join my Discord community, in which you can directly ask me any questions about the game, as well as find all my builds in one nice channel. Now, to top everything off, we are going to be using High Energy Fire for that 20% damage buff to our weapons. We are also combining it with Taking Charge because this will allow us to have a very high uptime on the buff, as each enemy should be dropping 1 orb of power, constantly making us charge with light. Also, these are mods that every single one of you has, meaning all of you new players, don't be afraid to try this out, I got you. Finally, for our last buff, we are going to be using Font of Might, which is a 25% damage boost to our arc weapons. It does tag with High Energy Fire and they go really well together. Now that you have a complete understanding of how this build works, let's get into the aspects, fragments and mods. Stat-wise, you want to prioritize resilience, then recovery, and then you can put your stats into discipline. Ability-wise, your class ability is personal preference. I've been playing around with Rally Barricade as well as Thruster, and they're both really good, so just pick whichever one you prefer the most. Same goes with your melee, and then for your grenade, you want to be using Storm Grenades because they are the strongest right now. As for our aspects, we are going to be using Knockout. Now this is mainly for the 2 fragment slots that it provides, however the infused melee that it provides is also very nice because it starts your health regeneration. This also makes you amplified whenever you kill an enemy with your melee, so keep that in mind. Next up we have Touch of Thunder, and this is basically going to make your Storm Grenade absolutely broken. For our fragments we are going to be using Spark of Amplitude, and this is the bread and butter of the build because this is going to be spawning us those orbs of power whenever we get a double kill while being amplified. There's 3 ways for us to become amplified. One is by using our melee on an enemy, getting a multi-kill, or finishing an enemy thanks to our next fragment, which is Spark of Volts, which makes us amplified whenever we finish an enemy. Then we have Spark of Magnitude, which is going to allow our Storm Grenade to last longer, meaning it will be able to output even more damage. And finally we are using Spark of Discharge, and this is because this is going to be our constant stream of Ionic Traces, as we are going to be getting a lot of kills with our arc weapons. Now, as for our mods, we are going to be starting on our helmet, and we are going to be using Taking Charge. This is such a simple mod, but it is super efficient with this build, because remember that we are going to be spawning a lot of orbs of power. Taking Charge makes us charge with light whenever we pick up an orb of power. Next up we have Ashes to Assets, which is going to give us that bonus super energy on grenade kills. And then Harmonic Siphon, which is going to stack with Spark of Amplitude, allowing you to spawn 2 orbs of power instead of 1. On our gauntlets, we are going to be using high energy fire, and this is because this is such a nice mod, especially when paired up with taking charge, giving us a very high uptime on this. High energy fire gives us a 20% damage boost to all of our weapons. On our chestplate, we are going to be using Font of Might, and this is going to give us a 25% damage boost to our arc weapons whenever we pick up an arc elemental well. Elemental Ordnance is the mod that we are going to be using in our leg armor, and this is going to spawn an arc elemental well whenever we get a kill with our grenade. Next up we have Recuperation, and this is such an important mod for this build because it heals us every time we pick up an Orb of Power. Now because we are going to be constantly picking up Orb of Powers, this is going to be healing us for a lot. And finally on our mark, we are going to be using Elemental Armaments, which has a chance of spawning an arc elemental well whenever we get a kill with arc weapons. This chance escalates with every kill that you get, meaning that after 4, 5, 6 kills you're pretty much guaranteed to spawn a well. We are pairing this up with Thunderous Retort, which is an absolutely insane seasonal mod for this build, as it's going to allow for our Thunder Crash to deal even more damage. Keep in mind that you have to be amplified to make this work. And we are also going to be using Amp Tap, which is going to allow us to stay amplified longer, and that is a 5-second bonus. As for our weapon, you have to be using an arc energy weapon, because thanks to it we are going to be spawning so many orbs of power. Now a couple of recommendations that I can give you is Trinity Goal, which is absolutely amazing for this. Any of the new weapons with Volt Shot, they also shred. Risk Runner, Forbearance, even Sweet Sorrow. So make sure you stick to an arc weapon for your energy slot. As for your kinetic and heavy slot, you can use any weapon you want. I usually just match whatever champions I'm facing, and I also match the burn of the activity. When playing this build, your first priority should be to become amplified, that way you can start taking advantage of Spark of Amplitude. We become amplified either by getting a multi-kill, killing an enemy with your melee, or by finishing an enemy thanks to Spark of Volts. Once you get amplified, you will start spawning orbs of power left and right, while empowering your weapons, which will help you in killing enemies much faster. All you have to do in this build is pick up orbs of power and wells that you spawn. And it's that simple. When it comes to using your Storm Grenade, you ideally want to use it on a pack of at least 3 mobs, or against tougher enemies, that way they give you the most amount of super possible once you kill them. However, don't be too afraid of spamming your Storm Grenade, as you'll be getting it back quite fast, thanks to all the Ionic traces that we are going to be creating with our arc weapons. Once you get your super, you want to use it straight away as soon as you see a tougher enemy, like a champion or even a big group of yellow bars will do. The reason why we are going to be spamming our super is because of the sheer amount of supers that we are going to be getting, so we might as well use them, plus it's also a sick looking super to say the least. And that's it for today's video. I really hope that you guys enjoy this build because I love it. As always, drop a like and consider subscribing to the channel, it really means a lot to me. Big thanks to all my YouTube members, you guys are awesome for supporting me. Good luck and have a great rest of your day.